Episode 5.
Struggling to get your business online? You've come to the right place. Welcome to the Small Business Puzzle Podcast. Now, here's your hosts, Michael and Teresa Blaze.
Welcome to the Small Business Puzzle Podcast. My name is Michael, and I'm here with my wife and business partner, Teresa.
Hello there.
Good morning.
Or evening or afternoon, wherever you may be found.
Oh, that's the awesome thing about podcasts. It's on demand, right?
Indeed.
So let's get going here. First of all, I want to thank our listeners for all the amazing reviews that we've gotten. We've gotten 21 5-star reviews in the last 7 days. I am so blown away.
Seriously, thank you guys. We could not be doing this without you. I mean, we want to bring something of value, something that we know you'll enjoy. That's why we're here. So, just thank you. And I hope to keep it going.
Absolutely. I want to share one of those reviews with you that I really, really appreciated. And let me find it. Where'd it go? Okay, this is a good one. I mean, they're all good. And it really makes you feel good when you see this. Love the tips and tricks that you can use today in your business to market and become a success. Congrats on creating this podcast and look forward to more. And they're all like that. Which, what this does is this tells me we're making an impact. And that was our goal with this podcast. Yeah, if nobody listened to it, if nobody took advantage of the information that we're presenting, then what's the point of doing it? So, yeah, thank you from the bottom of our heart. Would you ask one small favor? If you could please leave a comment on the show notes page for this episode. It's episode number 5. So it's going to be SBP, that's Sam Beta Papa podcast.com/5. If you could leave us a comment there, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you. So, Teresa, what are we going to talk about today?
Well, that's a good question, Mike. Today, we are covering website accessibility.
So, let's start by defining website accessibility according to Wikipedia. Web accessibility refers to the inclusive practice of removing barriers that prevent interaction with or access to websites by people with disabilities. When sites are correctly designed, developed, and edited, all users have equal access to information and functionality.
Bleh, that's a mouthful.
So what does that mean in non-geek-ese, Therese?
Okay. Essentially, website accessibility is making it so that your site, whatever it is accessible to people with disabilities. For example, I am completely blind. My husband is partially blind. There are over 6 million blind users that are online today. Okay? If you are totally blind and you're online, it's very more likely that you will use something called a screen reader. Essentially, what a screen reader is it reads a page to you. Exactly. And the problem is that if your site is not conformed in such a way that the screen reader can read it properly, then I have no idea what your site is about. And if I don't have an idea what your site is about, I'm likely going to go, where's that exit again? Ah, yes, now I can actually navigate the web, and the site is left behind.
It is so important because just like the rest of your buyers are looking to access your information or access your service. The blind users are trying to access it too. Mm-hmm. And they've got dollars, they've got money, but they're not going to spend it with you if you don't make it easy for them to do so.
So, Mike, how can we, we've now defined what website accessibility is, and we've spoken about, what it is in layman's terms. How can the listener, our tribe here, how can they actually make their websites accessible?
That's a really good question. Well, the first thing you could do is hire a web developer, or if you want, you can contact our people, and we can help you with that. And we've actually got a giveaway that we're going to be doing at the end of this episode to cover just that eventuality. But here's the thing about a web developer. You better make sure that web developer is taking the time to make the site accessible. And, they better know what they're talking about. It's not that difficult to do. It's just most web developers they don't want to spend the time because the client doesn't want to spend the money to make it happen. If you really want to make it happen, you may have to put a couple of extra dollars out of pocket to do so.
Well, what are some of the things that our listeners can do right now? Let's say, okay, hey, I've already built my site. I didn't really do a web developer, but I'm willing to do some things to try and make this thing accessible. What can I do to make that happen?
Well, the most important thing you can do is make sure that you tag your links and your images. Now, let me explain to you what I mean. When you tag a link, what we're talking about is something called an anchor text link. If you take and you make a link that just says nothing, then a blind user is going to have absolutely no idea what to do with that link.
Oh, we'll see something. If I navigate and I find that link, I'll hear something. It'll just say graphic. It won't tell me what that link is.
Exactly.
And that's assuming that the screen reader picks it up at all.
Exactly. So you want to make sure your images are tagged. What we're talking about is something called an alt text tag. And I will have some resources that will explain these terms and take you to a page that gives you some ideas on how to do this stuff, okay? So you don't have to you be the business owner. My advice is really be the business owner, hire someone to do it. You can do it. It's not going to be that expensive to do it. It takes somebody who knows what they're doing. But the images, what you want to make sure of is that you have a description for those images, so when a blind user comes across those images, they will understand what's in them. For example, if you have an image of a dog, let's say it's a Labrador Retriever who's holding a bone and looking cute, state in your alt text description, it's a Labrador Retriever holding a bone or whatever. Okay.
At least the blind user will know what it is at that point.
Exactly. And this goes for social media too. Those incredibly cute posts that you see all the time on Facebook?
I skip half of them.
If you don't put a link, if you don't put a description in them that describes what the text is in the image, a blind user is not going to be able to see it, and they're just going to bypass it.
I do. Whenever someone says that they've posted a photo, I assume that they haven't bothered to tag it, and I skip it.
So make it easier for your blind customers. Second, or third, I guess, you want to make sure that you are not using Flash. Flash is an old technology. Not only will it penalize you in the search engines and look really bad on mobile websites or mobile devices, If you have Flash on there, a blind user will have absolutely no idea what's going on.
I've seen enough of the, oh yeah, this looks good. We did this and it looks good and yeah, great. What's it say?
What about YouTube videos, Therese?
YouTube videos. If you sit there and you create a YouTube video that is just a bunch of screen captured words, but with no audio, okay, let me back up. Screen captured words with music over the top. Guess what? I have no idea what that video is. All I hear is music.
Has absolutely no idea what the video is about. So what you want to do in that situation is you want to make sure in the description that you use the text of the video.
Exactly. At least I know what your video is saying. Or, maybe you're trying to do a sales presentation. I'm fine with that. Give me a link to click so I can click and read more about what you have.
Which brings us to the next point. Sales letters.
Do me a favor. If you're going to create a sales letter, do not use images alone.
One of the things that is a real problem and a lot of marketers do it now, where they will, instead of taking, because they're so afraid their copy is going to be stolen, either that or they're worried about the formatting and making the formatting look good. But by doing that, the page shows up as a whole bunch of images with no description.
And images with no description means I can't read. And if I can't read, I can't be taken along your copy to that little buy button.
And that's another thing. Make sure your buy buttons are tagged. Buy now.
Buy
Simple.
now is wonderful. Just tell me what I'm doing. Basically, lead me along. Don't sit there and make it difficult for me to navigate your site. If it's difficult for me, I'm not going to buy. A confused mind doesn't buy.
Okay, and another thing to consider is form fields.
Label them, please.
If your form maker, make sure that you've got labels on them that are screen reader accessible. And we'll have some resources regarding that too. That's a little complex to do. But it's really important because a blind user trying to fill out a form, I can't tell you the number of times that I've had to step in and fill out the form for Therese because she can't see it.
Oh, yes, and it goes the same with drop-downs. I've had situations where, okay, I can figure out what the edit box is, but I can't work the drop-down menus. I know this sounds like a lot that we're hitting you guys with. I get that. But the point we're trying to make is that there are so many things that go into website accessibility. If you just start with a few of them and you take the time, you say, hey, you know what? Let me fix these alt tags. Let me fix these images. Do the simple things, do the small things. I guarantee you they will make a difference.
Exactly. Now, another thing you wanted to, bringing up menus, you want to make sure on your page, just like for your visual users, that you don't have too many links on your page. And you want to make sure your menus are clear and easy to navigate. What do I mean? You want to make sure that you have a logical structure and not 30 levels deep, because the person who's trying to do it will never be able to find it. Oh, and also make sure your search box is accessible. That's pretty important, because if Teresa's looking for something, she's not going to look for it visually. She's going to type something in search, and she's going to look for the topic that she's looking for.
Also, if you have a situation with a whole bunch of content, use headings. I usually when I navigate a web page, I will jump from heading to heading to heading. Why? Because it makes my navigation of the site easier.
Exactly. And there's other factors that you need to consider when you're talking about web accessibility. It's not just blind users. There's things to do for visually impaired users. There's things to do for other disabilities as well. So the resources that we put in will help you with sort all this good stuff out. And one of the things that the resources is going to include is a test that you can run on your website to determine if that website is accessible and the things that you need to fix to make it accessible. It's called WAVE, and the link that we set up for it will be tbm.link /test. So you can test your website and see what areas that you're failing in.
No, not failing. This, that you need improvement in. So
agreed. It's not a fail.
So I think with that, why don't we call it a day? This is Teresa Blaze.
And this is Michael Blaze.
And this has been the Small Business Puzzle Podcast.
Episode number 5. Have a great day. Let me ask you a question. Is your website really accessible? Let's find out, shall we? If you're one of the first 10 people to text VID to 31996, we will do a professional evaluation of your website and send you a customized video with the results. Again, text VID to 31996. This offer is limited to the first 10 people who respond. Brought to you by twoblindmarketers.com.
You've been listening to the Small Business Puzzle Podcast. To catch all our past shows, visit sbppodcast.com.